All right, we're dealing with chapter 30 tonight, and it is going to deal with perfect participles and genitive absolutes. You've already met participles, already dealt with participles a good bit. Perfect participles do not add that much new material. You'll see how easy they are to recognize. The genitive absolute is a little bit different than anything we've had. We'll show you what that involves. Note the exegetical insight by Paul Jackson. It's very helpful in um, noting how participles are used. So it's a good insight. Also, remember to pay attention to the overview. It kind of gives you a direction where you're going. Remember also the Greek grammar. You don't have any English grammar. You've already had English grammar relating to participles, and this is Greek grammar that relates to the perfect participle. He talks about translation and reduplication. Reduplication you've already met in dealing with the perfect verbs, and that's what is being dealt with here. What Mounce calls a first perfect participle is the regular perfect participle. It of course, is made up with reduplication, the perfect tense stem, and the tense formative, which is kappa, and the participle morpheme, which is omicron tau. So the cot, kappa, omicron tau, is going to be the thing that stands out in that particular participle. Note the paradigm. He gives you the masculine, feminine, and neuter forms of the paradigm for the first perfect participle, and you will see that it follows generally the patterns that we've seen before. So what I would encourage you to do is I don't think you need to memorize all of these. You've already learned the reduplication and the stem and the endings. So what I would encourage you to do is simply learn to recognize them and translate them. So that's what you would do. That's what you would want to do there. These charts, anything that's in here, paradigms and charts, remember you can continue to put together uh, in your notebook and use that. You can also use that in the next semester. So I'd hold on to that for the intermediate Greek semester, which comes up next. On page 278 is the paradigm for the first perfect middle and passive participle. Was the active participle on the previous page. This is the middle and passive. It also is easy to recognize because it has the reduplication, and then it has the men, the mu, epsilon nu morpheme that helps you to recognize it, and then your regular endings, so regular masculine, feminine, and neuter endings. So again, learn to recognize these. I would not try to memorize all the paradigms. The genitive absolute is not difficult. It is important because there are a lot of them in the text, and so you want to make sure that you note that. The key is to the genitive absolute is that it's going to be a statement using a genitive noun or pronoun that is unrelated to the sentence. If you look at the example, for instance, the first one in 30.9, he says, and immediately while he is still speaking, Judas comes. So you see the main thought is, and immediately Judas comes. And that unrelated thought is while he is still speaking, literally upon of him speaking. So that's a participial phrase, and it makes for that genitive absolute. So read carefully what he says, and note the helpful hints, particularly in 3010, and then notice what he says about translation. He mentions again that it's idiomatic. We've met these idioms before, and it's simply a matter of being able to translate it literally and then come back and figure it out. So that's what I would do, start translating these participles as all the others literally, and then you can move on from there. So he's talking about translation in this section and giving you some examples, and I encourage you to pay particular attention to that. The halftime review is again a handy review. If you'll use these, you can make sure that you're keeping up with what is with what you need to learn in the lessons. Periphrastic constructions. You need to learn the meaning of the periphrastic construction, and then learn how to recognize them and how to translate them. I would encourage you to read this very carefully. Note particularly the footnotes on the bottom of page 280, and then I would keep this chart on 3015 on the next page because it will help you to see how these periphrastic constructions are done. It simply uses a form of the verb me and makes it possible for you to translate it. And as I say, start out translating it literally, and then communicate. Then you can work it out because it is going to be kind of an idiomatic translation. Then notice the alternate translations. These are adverbial, dealing with adverbial participles here. Note how he explains all of this, and again I would say just use the ing to start. Your summary, there are two summaries on page 282. Both of them are extremely important. I would keep both of them in the notebook because one gives you a good review of the participle, of the perfect participle, and the second one gives you a good summary of the participle as a whole. And then you have your participle morpheme chart complete on page 283 and the master participle chart. So you'll want to make sure you keep that in your notebook, if you will. Your vocabulary, you only have 2 vocabulary words. So you have, first of all, mede, which is simply 2 particles put together and means but not, or nor, or not even. And then presbyteros, which is means elder or older or something like that. Read your advanced information, at least read through it, and then work on your exercises. And your exercises for chapter 30 are going to include parsing as usual, and then sentences 2, 5, 8, 9, and 10. So that should get you through your Wednesday assignment.